What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday? Gonna have a great show as we are getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks until the first round of the NFL draft, and we're here to discuss today some second round options. I feel like we've talked about the first round of the NFL draft for basically the entire time that it has been draft season. There's been some second round discussion, but today we're going to focus the majority of today's show on second round options for the Titans, who are currently set to pick 38th overall. In this second round, Zach and I talked about some opportunity to potentially trade the first or the second round pick. So we're going to dive in deeper to a few, really two second round pick options that I don't think, Sam, we've had any morning show conversations about when it comes to specific Titans situations. So, two flashy second round pick options. And we're going to base this off of the Titans drafting Joe Alt in the first round of the draft. We do have an updated mock draft from the godfather of the NFL draft. That is Mel Kiper Jr. at ESPN.com. So we're going to go through that. We'll go through who Mel Kiper has the Titans taking at 38th overall in his mock, and I think one of Sam's favorite humans in this draft, just to witness, favorite specimens in this draft that we'll get to as another second round flashy option for the Titans. And then it is Wednesday, which means we've got sports trivia. I do see a comment from somebody in the chat that I have to address. And I had a feeling that today's show would make me address this. And so we'll do that after the official open. But Sam, welcome in, waking up, throw that water on your face. Time to get rolling here on this Wednesday morning here on A to Z Sports.
Yep, let's do it. It is Wednesday morning, like you said. Got a good show today. I'm starting to get really into this second round conversation. Austin, a little peek behind the curtain. I have an NFL mock draft, a 2-round NFL mock draft for the Titans, including a trade that is coming out later today. So keep an eye on that. But I had a great time sitting there, and also a frustrating time sitting there trying to figure out what exactly the Titans are going to do and how they can maximize picks 7 and 38 to come away with some really good players. So it's going to be a fun conversation. If you're watching the show, make sure you share the show. If that's on YouTube, take the YouTube link, send it in a group chat, send it to a friend, find a Titans fan or a football fan in your life, introduce them to A to Z Sports by sending them the link to the show. If it's on Facebook, hit the share button on Facebook. That's an easy way to repost it to your timeline, get it out there for all of your friends to see, and make sure they're joining the show as well. And make sure you do it. Like I said, share it before we kick things off on a Wednesday morning.
Yep, let's get to it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. Also going live every weekday mornings as Nashville's on-demand sports talk network on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com. Make sure you follow us all over social media because we've got our links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline, and hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you. Like Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. You get a quote at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota online at KrebsKubota.com. They are an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the Mid-State in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Family owned and operated for over 18 years. So, Sam, we're going to dive into 2 sexy second-round options, 2 flashy second-round options for the Titans after the hypothetical drafting of Joe Alt in the first round. And so I mentioned in the cold open of this show, Sam, that Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft 4.0 is what we're going to base this show off of, because this is Mel Kiper's last mock draft of this draft season. It's his 4th and final. He has passed off his draft morning mock duties to Field Yates of ESPN as Mel Kiper Jr. probably nearing somewhat retirement, or at least the reel back in, do less as you get older type of stage. And I saw this from IR Hoshi. Mel is the worst mock drafter. And I saw some others saying, Kiper don't know. Guys, the NFL draft exists in its current form today because of Mel Kiper Jr. He is the guy who created the NFL draft industry. The reason why Dane Brugler comes out with his beast today on The Athletic, and it's one of the best things in the NFL drafts. The reason why Dane Brugler has that is because Mel Kiper Jr. created this. The reason why we have been infatuated with the NFL draft for the last 2 to 3 to 4 months is because of what Mel Kiper Jr. created. The reason why Sam spent a lot of time yesterday going through a Titans 2-round mock with a trade involved is because Mel Kiper Jr. started this show back in the 80s. So you can hate all you want on Mel Kiper Jr., but remember, he is the godfather of this thing, and we have to make sure that we respect the godfather of the NFL draft. And Alex says, does that make him perfect? Absolutely not. But you got to respect the guy because what he says means something. It does carry weight. It's hard to get mock drafts correct. I think of all the experts, if a mock draft expert gets 6 or 7 picks in the first round correct out of 32, that's damn good. The batting average is not supposed to be high because you're predicting what 32 general managers and teams are going to do. And so, again, put some respect on the name of Mel Kiper Jr. Sam, I had a feeling I needed to say that this morning before we dive into this Mel Kiper mock.
Yeah, and fair enough. The NFL draft market season, the fanatics surrounding the NFL draft are so unique to this league. Something that has the NFL is a different beast, right? And we talk about this a lot, being in this business that we're in this industry that we're in, about how there is no off season. There really is no off season, where even when we're in the off season, we have plenty to talk about and obsess over and cover regarding what's happening in the off season, specifically because of the draft. And so Mel Kiper took what was an otherwise dormant off-season activity and has since made it multiple months of fun and of interesting conversation that is fueled by the fans and therefore brings that much more fan interaction and interest in the sport. So, the Godfather, like you said.
Yep. And I did get a couple questions. This is interesting. I don't know if this is a thing, but Patrick asks, is A to Z going to do a mock draft contest like you did with March Madness? If there's a thing, then let's do it. Because I know we've already got one sponsor for our draft show. We're closing in on maybe a second for that. I think that could be fun. So, Sam, I don't know if you know, but is there a way to do a mock draft contest like there is a way to fill out brackets for the tournament that just ended? I don't know if there is, but I would love to find a way to do something like that. Do you have any idea if Patrick is onto something?
No, I have no idea. I'm sure there is a way of comparing different mock drafts. I'm just not sure. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that
Patrick, homework for Patrick. Go find us something and we'll do it.
And yes, it would be
if you find it, I will do it. I will do that.
And it would be first round only.
Yes, first round only. Yeah, absolutely. But you have to pick all 32. First round only, absolutely. And then Kenneth says, are you guys going to do a live mock draft show? You did it 2 years ago, but not last year. I thought we did it last year. Maybe we didn't.
We ended up not doing it last year.
Oh, okay. Well, Sam, this is also news to you. We are going to do that, you and I, on draft day morning. So that is what Zach and I talked about on Monday or Tuesday of this week. So that'll be the plan. We're also putting together for Wednesday morning, the day before the draft. It is going to be a 3-person show between me, you, and Zach. And we're going to go through. I know you guys have a pocketed conversation debate about the draft that I will mediate in that situation. So Wednesday of draft week, a 3-person morning show. Thursday of draft week, Sam and I will go through the live mock draft. And then Friday, it'll be Sam and Jack hosting the morning show, as I have some family duties to attend to that we will discuss as we get closer. But enough of that stuff and enough of discussing Mel Kiper Jr.'s greatness to create this industry that we all love. Let's get to it. So Mel Kiper Jr. had his fourth and final mock draft of this mock draft season, and he has the Titans at 7 overall, selecting Joe Alt, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Here is what Kiper says. Another pick I've stuck with in all 4 of his mock drafts. Alt can step in and play left tackle as a rookie for the Titans, who parted way with veteran Andre Dillard last month. Yes, they took an offensive lineman around 1 a year ago, but Peter Skronsky played mostly a guard as a rookie, and I ranked him as his number 1 guard before the 23 draft. Tennessee still needs O-line help, and the 6'8", 321-pound Alt is pure left tackle who started 33 games there for the Fighting Irish. So, Sam, pretty standard overall right there, and I will tell you how the board fell for Mel Kiper Jr. before the Titans were there at 7 to take Joe Alt. It was pretty chalky. 1, 2, and 3 went Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Marvin Harrison Jr. went 4 to the Cardinals. And then a trade. The Vikings move up to 5 with the Chargers, and the Chargers drop back, and the Vikings took J.J. McCarthy at 5th overall, and then the Giants at 6 took your buddy Malik Neighbors right in front of the Titans. And so that left the Titans with Joe Alt for the 4th consecutive mock draft for Mel Kiper Jr. So, Sam, what's your overall take on that right there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the safe bet. It seems to be the consensus pick. I was kind of surprised, Austin, just looking at the Vegas betting odds for the 7th overall pick. Joe Alt is minus money right now. He is minus 120 to go off the board at 7 overall. So it certainly seems that Vegas mock draft experts, analysts, whoever, all believe that Alt to the Titans is the slam dunk of the first round. The question is, does he get there, and who else gets there? I do believe Malik Neighbors being on the board kind of throws a little bit of a curveball there. But if the board were to fall this way for the Titans, I do believe Joe Alt is the pick and probably the safe bet. Now, if Alt is gone, maybe there's a trade back. If Neighbors is there, maybe it's an interesting conversation as well. But yeah, if you're choosing between Joe Alt or the other offensive lineman and Rome Odunze, I think Alt is probably the safe choice here for Rand Carthon and company.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. I did hear a scenario yesterday. I was actually listening to Mel Kiper Jr.'s first draft podcast with Field Yates, and a floated idea, because we've heard, this in this mock, it was the Chargers at 5 who moved with the Vikings for the J.J. McCarthy trade. There's also been some discussion that the Arizona Cardinals are a trade back candidate as well. And Field Yates brought something up that I hadn't really thought about yet this draft season is, what if the Cardinals do move off of 4, but they already have another deal in place to move back up? And I thought that was interesting because that's not unforeseen, right? I think that could make
the Cardinals did it last year.
Yeah, right. And Monty Ossenfort and Rand Carthon have already done draft trades in their short history as GMs. And Monty Ossenfort obviously has the relationship with the Titans organization. Just what if this is a shot where the Cardinals move off of 4 because they want more picks and get the J.J. McCarthy ransom, and then they move back to 11. The Titans are there at 7. The Cardinals move back up to 7. The Titans move back to 11. I think there's options that the Titans could take when it comes to that, maybe pick up another 2nd or a 3rd round pick if that's the case. But that was just something that came to my mind that I hadn't really thought about to that extent. So what do you think about that quickly, Sam?
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, there's rumors that Chicago is going to go up to 4 from 9 maybe and make a push for Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's another spot. Maybe the Cardinals go back to 9 and then want to jump up a couple of spots to 7 to get one of those receivers before maybe Atlanta takes one of them. There's a lot of possibilities. Really, Austin, I don't rule anything out when it comes to trades in the first round of the draft. I mean, it's easy to sit here and assume that so and so won't move, so and so won't
Right.
move. That doesn't make sense. But every year there is a trade, there is a pick, there is something that kind of makes everybody take a step back and go, "What?" And it throws off the rest of the draft board for the rest of the teams. It throws off every single mock draft and kind of renders them irrelevant pretty
Yep.
quickly. So, I don't rule it out. I think it's certainly something that we could see play out. And as you said, Monty Ossenfort and the Cardinals have a history of doing that, just that exact thing.
Yeah. All right. So, Sam, let's go ahead and continue our exercise that the Titans are going to draft Joe Alt at 7. Let's ask this question to everybody here in the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If the Titans take Joe Alt at 7th overall, what position should be the priority in the second round at their 38th overall pick? What position should be the priority for the Tennessee Titans if they do take Joe Alt at 7th overall? So what position in the second round is the priority? We'll get to all of your opinions and thoughts on this. But first, Sam, tell everybody about our great friends at the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute is the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. They're located out in Franklin with a state-of-the-art rehab facility that can assist in your recovery with everything all under one roof, whether it's rehab, imaging, surgery, testing, a clinic, whatever it is that you need, they have it at the Bone and Joint Institute. Like I said, in Franklin, easy to access, right off the highway, great care, great doctors. Schedule your appointment with them and don't fumble on your recovery. It's boneandjointtn.org.
All right, Sam, it is BetMGM season all year round. You've got a big-time golf tournament coming up, but you've also got Major League Baseball all summer long, and you can always go yard with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, all season long, offering up top odds on your favorite home run bets, shared 50K Grand Slam jackpots, fast and convenient ways to play same-game parlays, special boosts and tokens, and so much more. From the first pitch to the game-winning fireworks, there are always more ways than ever to supercharge your excitement. Whether you want to combine multiple bets for the chance for a bigger payout or place a live bet as the game unfolds, BetMGM has all the home run betting options you can need. So download the BetMGM app, use our code ATOZ Sports, and you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. For Major League Baseball, BetMGM is an official partner of Major League Baseball. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New subject of qualification, eligible requirements. Rewards issued to knowledgeable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. And for problem game of sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Maybe every Friday we need that no run first inning Friday suggestion from Sam now moving forward. But all right, so Sam, we asked the question, if the Titans take Joe Alt at 7, what position should be the priority for the Tennessee Titans at 38th overall? So I'll let you go to the chat. By the way, we need way more likes on the show. It's kind of weak today from the chat, to be honest. Not trying to take personal shots, but we don't have enough likes. So hit that like button. I don't know where our guy VC is, who drops a super chat to say like the show, but VC maybe he's taking the day off this morning. But hit that like button on Facebook and on YouTube, because that just makes our show better for everybody involved. So we appreciate that. But Sam, to the chat you go. What should be the priority position in the second round for the Titans?
We've got defensive line from Jake Lockersburner, D-line from Eric Davis. We've got wide receiver from Big Ten Jeff, defensive tackle, defensive line, defensive end. BPA over position, says Andre.
Best
just
player available.
Wanting the best player available
now,
there.
Timeout, pause. 30, just quick timeout. Is there a position where a best player available is sitting you in the face for the Titans that you don't need to take? Like, is there a best player available position that makes no sense for the Titans at 38? Obviously quarterback. Like if Bo Nix and Michael Penix are there at 38, the Titans are not going to take that. They might be the best player available at that spot.
I mean,
on their board. But is there, outside of quarterback, is there a best player available position to pass on?
Yeah, I would pass on a BPA running back. I'd pass on a BPA tight end.
Okay. Which I don't think there is a running back that would be best player available at 38. I don't think
Sure.
there's a running back in the top 50 of these in this draft.
Yeah.
So I think I got one. I think it's corner.
Corner's interesting because you would have thought like, all right, you need some depth there just a couple of weeks ago. And now you look at it, and not only would it be hard to fit a first or second round cornerback somewhere on the field, but you've got guys who have their contracts locked up. I mean, you still have some control for Roger McCreary. Chidobe Awuzie signed a multi-year deal. You obviously got the big contract extension for L'Jarius Sneed. So, yeah, it's not like, oh, this guy's a rotational piece in year one, and then he takes over full-time cornerback duties. It would be hard to fit that person on the field. And so unless it really, really, really is a best player available that has no business being on the board, I would probably agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, like if you draft a cornerback at 38th, then that guy's cornerback 4 for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's not what they have too many other needs. So I think cornerback is the most likely position to have a best player available that you pass on. Just to go through Andre's scenario. Look, I think it was a good comment from Andre, but to kind of get us to that point, because you've got all 3 guys, McCreary under contract for 2 more years, Awuzie under contract for 3, and Sneed for 4. So I don't think there's any necessity for that. So, all right, sorry, back to the chat to see what other positions that need to be prioritized by the Titans for the 38th overall pick.
More defensive end, more edge rusher, wide receiver from Josh Maynard. Same with Maven and Chris. Some D tackle, some D line, an O line comment from Hello Ladies. We've got middle linebacker, the guy from NC State says just smash, which is Peyton Wilson, I believe, is who he's referring to there. Defensive lineman, wide receiver. Scout wants Lad McConkey, a wide receiver, says Orlando Jones. A safety, a defensive end, a wide receiver, defensive tackle, defensive end. Austin, I think the consensus here is someone on the defensive line or a wide receiver.
Okay. How do you feel about this? Well, I don't want you to spoil your mock draft that you're having to come out later on. I also don't want to spoil the conversation we're going to have later in this show about a particular prospect that the Titans could be targeting in the second round. But position priority, Sam, if they take Joe Alt at 7, and, look, there could be another offensive lineman taken in the first round if maybe the Titans move back to 11 because the Cardinals double trade, whatever it is. My camera is not staying in focus today. It's driving me insane. But so if there's an offensive lineman in the first round, Sam, where are you going as position priority in the second?
Is it cheating if I agree with Andre and say it's best player available for me? Because I do think you are in such a unique spot with a handful of needs to fill where I could see defensive line. I could obviously see wide receiver. I could obviously see another offensive lineman, and I could see the Titans double dipping. I'm not sure there is one that sticks out more from the other. More so, a particular prospect or prospects could stand out from the rest of the pack. We could be dealing with, one of the top edges that you like who snuck into the front end of the first round that you could jump at. You could be dealing with an offensive tackle that you didn't think would be there. And if it's another player that you believe is a day one starter or somebody who in this scenario, right, you have Joe Alt, but if there's a guy who's there who you think can start at right tackle week 1, that might be a move that you have to make. I also think, edge rusher is a spot and wide receiver is a spot that you could always improve your depth at. So one of those 3, I think it has to be. I think if you forced me to pick one, you go offensive tackle. I'd like to see them go with a receiver in the second round.
Okay. So you're gun to your head.
But it has to be the right wide receiver. Like, I mean, I only hold that opinion if the right guy is on the board. There are guys in the second round who I would probably rather they go a different direction from. But yeah, I mean, in an ideal world to me, you come away with a receiver and a tackle in the first 2 picks.
I agree with you.
And that's not necessarily, let me just say too, what I think is going to happen. You know, and you got to wait for my mock draft to see how that goes. But
Yeah, and look, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the first round or the second round, but I do think if they go offensive linemen in the first round, the only 2 options are either defensive front, whether it's D line or edge rusher, or receiver in the second round.
you don't think
So,
they double dip?
I mean, I wouldn't call it crazy if they double dipped because they right tackle is completely up in the air. But I do think that would be, you have a lot of bodies on the offensive line already. If it's Joe Alt and let's just say Kingsley from BYU or Patrick Paul from Houston at 38, that's a lot of bodies to go along with Sadiq Charles, Dylan Radins, NPF, Jalen Duncan, who are all trying to compete for the right guard / right tackle and swing tackle. So I don't think it's necessarily the smartest thing to do, but it's not anything, I wouldn't necessarily call it stupid. But I think wide receiver is something that I believe should be on the table in the first round. You agree with me because in the second round, because I think with the situations for DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, because of their age and longevity, I think getting Will Levis somebody he can grow with for the next 4 years is important. And that could be a first or second round wide receiver in this 2024 NFL draft.
Yep.
So that's why I say receiver. If it's Joe Alt in the first round, it's got to be a receiver priority. In the second round, don't be stubborn and reach on somebody because your guy went before you. It's okay if you go D-line. I think Darius Robinson is somebody we talked about yesterday would be a hell of a draft pick at 38th overall or in the second round if that's the case. But I think receiver is my positional priority in the second round if they go Alt in the first.
Yeah, I got no problems with what you said there. And like you said, whether it's Robinson, whether it's, there's a handful of guys, I think edge rusher overall is a position that, when you start talking about edge rusher 3 to 7, there's kind of a lot of differing opinions about the prospects and which guys are going to be available in that early second round. But you'll have an opportunity to get a very good player if you want it. So that's to me, that defensive line, that edge rusher spot is sort of the backup and the fallback if the right wide receiver is not on the board. And so, like I said, I would prioritize wide receiver, but it all depends on the prospect. There are certain guys who I just don't love in that first bunch of that second tier, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Mel Kiper Jr. had Joe Alt as the first round pick for the Titans at 7. We're going to get to who Mel Kiper Jr. has for the Titans in the second round in his final mock draft of this mock draft season. But first, going to tell everybody about our friends at Krebs Kubota. KrebsKubota.com is where you should go for all of your equipment needs. They're online, KrebsKubota.com, and an elite Kubota dealer. With 3 great locations across the mid-state, Columbia, Murfreesboro, and in Franklin. Why are they an elite Kubota dealer? It means they have a great relationship with the national Kubota brand, with the best equipment in the industry to go along with the best warranties in the industry. And also with Krebs Kubota, you're going to get the best customer service that you can find in the Middle Tennessee area because of how they care about their relationships. They want to create a comfortable relationship with you, their customers, their friends, because you need that with a equipment provider. It goes a long way because if something breaks, if you're not an expert like they are, no sweat, they can help you out right there at any of their 3 locations in the Middle Tennessee area with Krebs Kubota. Again, online at KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet doesn't win. Whatever your first bet wager amount is, if your bet loses, you can get that money back into your account in the form of a bonus bet for a second chance to win big. So whether it is the NFL draft and some props on the NFL draft, whether it's Major League Baseball, whatever it is on your mind that you want to get in on the action, do it with the king of sportsbooks and betmgm.com.
All right, so Sam, we've talked a lot about Joe Alt. We've talked a lot about the first round wide receivers, whether it's Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, who could be the 7th overall pick for the Titans. So now let's get to Mel Kiper Jr.'s second round pick in his last mock draft for this NFL draft cycle. We said we would prioritize the wide receiver position if Joe Alt is the pick at 7. Mel Kiper Jr. has the Titans going with a wide receiver. This one from the SEC out of Florida, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver from Florida who was a transfer from Arizona State. And here's what Mel Kiper Jr. had to say about Ricky Pearsall and this pick at 38. The Titans signed Calvin Ridley to a big contract last month, but 2022 first-rounder Treylon Burks has disappointed over 2 seasons, and DeAndre Hopkins will be a free agent in 2025. There's room for a young wideout on this roster. Pearsall had 98 catches and 9 touchdowns in his 2 seasons at Florida, and his 4.41 second 40 at the combine solidified him as a top 50 pick. So that's Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. Not a crazy amount of volume when it comes to his stats at Florida, but Florida's been kind of going through the ringer with Billy Napier there in the last couple of seasons. But Sam, what are your initial thoughts on Ricky Pearsall from Mel Kiper Jr.?
Well, this is why I say it depends on the wide receiver, because I have been pretty adamantly anti Ricky Pearsall here in the pre-draft process. I think Pearsall's a guy who I'd be comfortable with taking towards the end of the second round or at the top of the third. But as early as 38, that's a huge reach to me. I think there are some clear red flags in his game, some of which I witnessed in person at the Senior Bowl, which is really his play strength. I really struggle to see Ricky Pearsall's play strength translating to the NFL. I think he'll struggle in press man coverage. I think he'll struggle getting contacted at the line of scrimmage. And so while he can be a good route runner, he does have the ability to break off routes, especially to the sideline, and has some good speed and pretty reliable hands. I'm not sure how open he's going to get against bigger, more physical defenders. I think there's a lot of risk in this pick. I think his ceiling is somewhat limited where, this works out. You get a productive wide receiver who's probably more of a Z in an offense. But I don't think he'll ever be like a 1,000-yard guy that opposing defenses have to scheme for. So this is not my favorite pick. This is not somebody who I would be over the moon if the Titans took. Like I said, top of the third, end of the second round. Sure. But not here. Not a huge fan.
All right. I actually like Ricky Pearsall, and I'm a Tennessee Vol alum. And so, I would endorse a Florida Gator draft pick by the Titans at 38th overall if it's Ricky Pearsall. Hey, look, he's athletic enough. He's got really high-level wide receiver skill set when it comes to his development as a route runner. His hands are incredible. He is a hands catcher. He is outside of his body frame catcher, which means it doesn't have to be the most accurate pass for Ricky Pearsall to bring it in. I think that's very important when you're talking about Will Levis as your quarterback, because Will Levis can throw the ball all over the field, right? But it's not the most accurate pass when it comes to precise location, when it comes to a player running a route. And so I think Ricky Pearsall is a solid pick here for the Titans at 38. Is he ever going to be a wide receiver 1 in the NFL? Probably not. But when you're projecting the Titans and what they have right now with Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and now Pearsall as a rookie, I like the ability of what Pearsall could be to replace DeAndre Hopkins in 2025. So then you've got Ridley wide receiver 1, Pearsall wide receiver 2 for the next couple of seasons. I think that makes a lot of sense. And you've got a guy who can go up, catch the football, create contested catches, opportunities like DeAndre Hopkins does. And yeah, does his play strength have to improve? Without a doubt. He's got to get stronger. It's a lot easier for athletes to get stronger once they do this for a living in the pros. But I would be fine with Ricky Pearsall at 38. Now, here's the thing. What are the other receivers that went off the board before the Titans draft Pearsall at 38, according to Mel Kiper? Because that's important.
I mean, that's kind of where I come in on it, though. Like, to me, I'd rather have Xavier Worthy. I'd rather have Keon Coleman. I'd rather have Ladd McConkey. I'd rather have Brian Thomas Jr. I'd rather have Adonai Mitchell. I mean, unless there's 8 receivers off the board before you get to pick 38. And in that case, right, I'd have to think that there's probably a lot better of a defensive lineman than you probably expected.
All right, let's go through it. So let's focus on the receivers that go after the big 3, right? Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Odunze are top 9 picks in this mock draft. At 23, Xavier Worthy comes off the board to the Chargers, who traded with the Vikings. Then you keep on scrolling, and you get to Brian Thomas Jr. goes 28 to the Buffalo Bills. Adonai Mitchell goes 29 to the Lions. Now we keep on going down to see other wide receivers. The Kansas City Chiefs at 32 go with Xavier Legette from South Carolina. And then in the second round at 34, Keon Coleman, right? So that's a lot of the second-tier receivers gone by 34 overall. And then you keep on going down, and you see the Titans then take the next receiver, Ricky Pearsall, at 38, and the Carolina Panthers right behind them at 39 take Ladd McConkey.
And I think Carolina is thrilled that the Titans took Pearsall over McConkey. I would take Ladd McConkey over Pearsall. And if Ladd McConkey's the pick at 38, I would have no problems with that. I think there's a difference in those players for me personally.
So notable receivers that go in the second round, according to Mel Kiper, after Pearsall and McConkey go 38, 39, the Titans and Panthers. Malachi Corley, Western Kentucky, 45. Troy Franklin, Oregon, 46 to the Colts. And then Roman Wilson goes 49 to Cincinnati out of Michigan. So it's really those 3 guys. How do you stack up? Who would you take ahead of Pearsall of those names I mentioned? You already said McConkey.
I would say I'd probably take Franklin or Roman Wilson over Pearsall for me. On my list, I would go with either one of those 2 over Pearsall. Then he's probably the next option. I'm not very high on Xavier Legette. Like Xavier Legette's somewhere down there with Pearsall for me. Malachi Corley's really interesting. I like the prospect. I don't like him in the second round. I think he's probably a round 3 type of guy, but a lot of intriguing speed and a really interesting skill set. So,
all right. So with those guys, honestly, I don't think I'm going to dislike. I feel like this is a cop-out, but I feel like Troy Franklin, Ricky Pearsall, Ladd McConkey are all really solid second-round wide receiver picks for the Titans. It literally comes down to their preference. And you're going to be at a press conference later today, Sam, with Brian Callahan talking. And I don't know how much he's going to talk draft or how much he's going to focus on the off-season workout program that started this week. But wide receiver skill set preference, and maybe trying to frame a question to the head coach and the coordinators about, what is the biggest difference between Pearsall, McConkey, and Franklin? Like, what are those 3 traits that set them apart that we could learn maybe from Brian Callahan on what he prefers in his offense, right? If it's Pearsall, who is a pure route runner, McConkey's kind of the same thing too, right? And then
McConkey's got deep threat to him, and I think he's an even better route runner than Pearsall is.
And then you got Troy Franklin, who's like track star.
Yeah.
but all three are fast, but I think longer speed with Franklin is probably that. And he's just a longer player overall, So I think it's like, what other receiver skill set are you trying to fit in the room? You've got Ridley, Hopkins that can really do it all. Burks is a big body, unproven. Kyle Phillips is an undersized guy who's supposed to be able to get open in short spaces. What's missing? And maybe that's a good question to Brian Callahan today, is like, what skill set is missing from this wide receiver room that you want to prioritize? And, Franklin, as Bork says, Troy Franklin's 176 pounds. That's lighter than Kyle Phillips by about 10 pounds.
Is it? Is he all the way at 185?
He's been listed at like 189 his entire career. I don't know what his actual weight is. But we'll be able to ask Kyle Phillips next month when we talk to him about, hey, how much do you weigh? What'd you do this offseason? How much did you eat?
I feel like Kyle Phillips gets asked that like every 6 months. Hey, how much do you weigh? Yeah.
And every 6 months might not be enough. All right. So Sam, there is another second round prospect that I know you like a lot. And we're going to ask the people. I'm going to allow you to pitch this player before we ask the question. So Sam, the floor is yours. I'd like you to pitch at 38th overall in the second round, the Titans to draft Texas defensive tackle T'Vondre Sweat, who came in for a 30 visit this week. He also got arrested on suspicion of DWI this past weekend during the pre-draft process. But Sam, I would like you to right now pitch us T'Vondre Sweat to the Titans in the second round, and then we'll ask the audience a question about it.
Hey, well, I can't speak to the off the field stuff with T'Vondre Sweat or, what his situation is there. I can speak to the football player that I have seen at the NFL Combine and at the Senior Bowl and had a chance to talk to on multiple occasions. And this is somebody who Titans fans would fall in love with, even if most of the fan base right now commenting, saying they're out, not loving it. T'Vondre Sweat takes up 2 gaps on a line just by standing there. He covers 2 gaps just by existing. He weighs over 366 pounds and yet runs like he weighs 310 pounds. I think he was almost sub 5 in the 40, which was absolutely crazy at his size. I was watching him run routes at the Senior Bowl, catching passes and then doing touchdown dances to celebrate. The man has a bull rush that is pretty much unstoppable, unblockable, because if you're a center in the NFL, you're probably giving up maybe 100 pounds, 80 pounds to T'Vondre Sweat. Bo Limmer is one of the top interior offensive line prospects in this draft, who a lot of scouts are really, really a fan of. I watched Bo Limmer try to anchor T'Vondre Sweat multiple times in Senior Bowl drills, and he just grabs him, shoves him back 10 yards, and dives on top of the quarterback. That's who T'Vondre Sweat is. That's how he plays. He's got a real high motor. He's very well conditioned for a guy his size. The only reason he's not blown up to 400 pounds is because of how well he conditions himself. There are multiple instances, if you go watch his tape at Texas, where there is a counter run to the other side of the field, and 365-pound T'Vondre Sweat is sprinting down the field 20 yards, making a chase down tackle. He has hustle. He has heart. He is a run stopper without trying. And in case you think he's just that, his number one motivation coming into the league is to show everybody that he can pass rush. I asked him about pass rushing. He says, yeah, people who don't think I can pass rush, turn on the tape and watch. You'll see what's going to happen right now. Multiple coaches, multiple defensive line coaches and head coaches that I spoke to at the Combine and Senior Bowl about Sweat told me he can be as good as he wants to be in this league. He is a dangerous, dangerous player who potentially is an absolute game-wrecking defensive tackle that you can fit into your defense alongside Jeffrey Simmons. And I think it transforms the look of the Titans defensive front, just inserting the presence of T'Vondre Sweat in there. So if he's there in the second round, and By the way, back at the Senior Bowl, the rumors were there's no chance this guy escapes round 1. But some of this stuff with the DWI, different things like that, right now he's starting to slide in mock drafts and on the consensus big board. Is there a possibility he's still there at 38 or even later in the second round and the Titans can make a move on him? If so, I would be all the way on board. I think this is it's a swing. It's a risk. There's a lot of risk involved. We know some of the risks involved, but this is a swing I think you have to take.
All right, so that's Sam Phelan's pitch for the Titans to draft T'Vondre Sweat in the second round. We will ask you guys, are you in or out with Sam's pitch? Are you in or out on T'Vondre Sweat? We'll let some of the conversations and responses come in. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should go for your health coverage and your health plan regarding overall health, dental, and vision plans. You can save money with Farm Bureau Health Plans and start by getting a quote with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And they've been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years, and they've committed even more over the generations to helping out their community across the entire state, to really invest in the communities across the state on the county and city and state level, to making sure that people would, regardless of your situation, growing families out there on your own, young adults, needing more intense care as you get later on in life, Farm Bureau Health Plans is always there to help you out. So get a quote today and use our link when you do it at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. It's MLB season in full swing. Regular season is underway. No runs first inning, maybe a home run player prop. There's a lot of fun bets that you can do with Major League Baseball with BetMGM. So get with the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports and place your first bet with the king of sportsbooks.
All right, so Sam, I will send you to the chat. You just gave your pitch for the Titans to draft T'Vondre Sweat, defensive lineman out of Texas, in the second round. He did visit a top 30 visit or a 30 visit, whatever they want to call it these days, this week. He did have a DWI arrest for a suspicion of DWI over this past weekend. So there's that caveat to go into things. But I did, before you get to the in or out comments, Chef Rand says character is terrible. I mean, I don't know if his character is terrible or if the guy made a stupid mistake. I think there's a difference in somebody that has bad character and somebody who made a bad mistake. You want to make sure that bad mistake doesn't get repeated and the person understands what the potential consequences could be. And it's not a continuous issue, but I don't necessarily mean or know that it means he has bad character. It could, but we don't know that fact. So I did want to bring that up as well. But Sam, I'll send you the chat, in or out on T'Vondre Sweat and the Titans as a second round pick.
George is in. Corey says he changed his mind. I convinced him. Now he's in. Micah is in. Rooney is out. Blake is out. Billy is out. Yanksty is out. Willie's in. Michael's in. Marlon is in. Mark is in. Cooper's out. Hello, ladies is out. Johnny says he's sold. He's in. Darius is in. Danny's in all day. Major Keys is all the way in. We've gotten out from Jason Brown. We've got out from Chef Rand. Too many other talented defensive tackles. Curtis says he's in. Dylan says he is in. Brock is all in. Eric says in. If he's there, he's worth the risk. Jeff, Brent in. Mayo's in. Xavier's in. Kenneth is in. I'm surprised to see this many ins. Bork is out. Derek is still out. Wrights is intrigued. In from Apollo, in from Damien. A lot of people are in, Austin, which I'm a little bit surprised by. I don't know how many people I swayed there, but are you on board? Yeah. Are you buying what I'm selling here?
I'll answer that real quick. But Blake Duncan says, how do you defend a dumbass that makes a stupid decision so close to the draft? I'm not trying to defend T'Vondre Sweat getting a DWI. My point was, I don't think that automatically makes him a bad character guy. I know really good people who have made really stupid decisions and have gotten a DUI, DWI, whatever it is. They're good humans. Like, they made a stupid ass decision that was 1000% avoidable. Like, I'm not defending the DWI. My point was, let's just not throw the entire person's character under the bus if it's just a stupid ass decision that is 1000% avoidable. I get it. I'm not defending anything like that. It is so dangerous. And I am also not defending Morgan Wallen throwing a chair that could have killed somebody off of a 6-story roof. That is also just as stupid and avoidable as a DUI, DWI. Again, there's people that make dumb decisions. They have to pay for those consequences. And luckily, in both of those instances, nobody was seriously injured. But again, like, there's more to the person. So I just wanted to make that clear. So am I in or out on DeAndre Sweat as a second-round pick? If it's the 38th overall pick, Sam, I'm out. If the Titans move back in the second round for some whatever reason, then I would be in. I think T'Vondre Sweat is an intriguing prospect. He is a mountain of a human. He has value. But I feel like if you come away with Joe Alt and T'Vondre Sweat in the first and second round at 7 and 38, and you don't pick again until 106, I feel like you just got a 2-down player, a 50% of the snaps type of guy in the second round in a slot that you need to get a 3-down player on offense or defense.
Why can he not be a 3-down player?
Well, he didn't do it at Texas all that much, right?
Sure. I mean, basically, when you're talking about a defensive tackle that's not a 3-down player, it's because the guy can't pass rush. I happen to think T'Vondre Sweat will be able to pass rush at the next level. So.
I think why he's not a 3-down player is not because of his lack of conditioning or maybe his lack of ability to pass rush. I think it's personnel, because in the Titans' third and passing defense, you're going to have 4 guys out there that can pass rush, right? I think you've got Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Arden Key. You don't need another big ass body there. Like, I think you've got, look, you could use another one of those edge guys there, but T'Vondre Sweat on third and passing, you've got Jeffrey Simmons to do that bull rush in the center. I'm not saying he can't do it. And if my camera could focus again, this is driving me insane today. I wish throwing shade was today. But I just don't think with the Titans personnel they currently have, T'Vondre Sweat would make sense if he's your only day 2 selection.
Sure. I mean, I can see the argument for that. I mean, I'm not sure. I think regardless, these position groups that we're talking about, for me, wide receiver, defensive line, right? Those are mainly the 2 that we're looking at for a second round selection in the context of this conversation. I think you are talking more about depth as the need, right? You're talking about a wide receiver when you could go into the season with Hopkins, Ridley, and Burks and be fine if you wanted to, right? It's more about like the future of next year and adding that 4th guy to the room that you think can be a playmaker. That's more about what taking a wide receiver is about. And the same thing with the defensive line, right? It's not that you necessarily have to add somebody. It's that adding a little bit of depth, adding another rotational piece to that group would be something really solid, especially losing a Danico Autry. I don't think Sebastian Joseph Day is going to be regularly in the rotation as frequently as like somebody like Autry was ideally. And so you might need to add another defensive lineman. The reason that Sweat stands out to me is because I think he is that depth. I think he is that rotational piece that you mentioned, but I think he can be a dominant one and one that changes a game in a way that many other defensive linemen potentially cannot and will not.
Look, and I think here's the other thing too, because T.R. Tart made the Titans defense better, right? Until he unraveled and whatever happened between T.R. Tart and Mike Vrabel happened.
I mean,
T.R. Tart was an undrafted free agent.
Put it this way, though. I was speaking with our guy, James Fall, right? But T.R. Tart was an undrafted free agent. If you understood what T.R. Tart was in the NFL, like beforehand, he wouldn't have been undrafted. If teams knew that he would be able to stop the run at that level, he wouldn't have gone undrafted. I was talking to our guy, James Foster, about Sweat and all of my thoughts on Sweat. And I thought it was interesting because James had comped Sweat to T.R. Tart, was his NFL player comp for him. And I said, you really think I think his ceiling is so much higher than T.R. Tart. What James said to me was, I comped him to T.R. Tart because I couldn't find another comp. Nobody else makes sense. Nobody's as big and as strong as this guy. There is no comp for T'Vondre Sweat. There are guys that you see in person that you have seen on tape and you just kind of go, oh, okay. And very rarely there's a guy that you've seen on tape that you see in person and he is bigger, he is wider, he is stronger, he is faster than it looked on tape. And the tape is pretty good. Big Ten Jeff says he watched the Texas K-State game tape and says, yeah, he looked good. And he does. And I saw him in person, kind of expecting to see that same thing. And I was like, holy crap, this guy is legitimately two people wide. People wide. Double the size of T.R. Tart. It looks like he swallowed T.R. Tart.
Nick Ewing says there's a major hole in inside linebacker still. Well, I mean, T.R. Tart makes both inside linebackers behind him better. If it's Jack Gibbons and Kenneth Murray Jr., then T'Vondre Sweat's going to make those two guys better. He's going to make Jeffrey Simmons better. He's going to make Harold Landry better, Arden Key better, because of just the fact is, like, you're going to have to put two bodies on T'Vondre Sweat, or he's going to fold your center like a lawn chair.
And you can't imagine trying to put two bodies on T'Vondre Sweat when Jeffrey Simmons is on the same defensive line.
Right.
That's a problem. It's a problem.
5 versus 4, you can double team one guy, and you got to pick between Sweat and Simmons. You know, I think if that's the case, offenses will throw fast because they will double.
And they're going to throw fast against corners like L'Jarius Sneed, who thrive in press man coverage.
Sure. Yeah. Now you're putting something. Look, I'm not fully out on Sweat. I just have a hard time saying he's your only day 2 pick, and he's not going to play a high percentage of snaps. That is the main thing I have with it. That's why I'm out more than I'm in.
All right.
If you had a third round pick,
everybody's entitled to their opinion.
If you had a third round pick, I don't have a problem with it, but you don't. And so I think you need somebody that can be a more of an impactful player more often than what T'Vondre Sweat would be. That's kind of my overall stance.
Well, I do think there's a good chance that the Titans end up with multiple picks on day 2. So
then if T'Vondre Sweat is one of them, thumbs up. I think that's a good thing. All right. Before we get to trivia, I do have some super chats to get to here. Andre was first in with a super chat asking, is Alt the best left tackle in multiple drafts or just this one? Top 3 wide receivers could all be the best wide receiver in multiple drafts. Rand and Callie have a tough choice to make. I mean, I don't know, Sam, how do you feel about this? Like, where do you think Joe Alt would be? Last year's draft, I feel like it has already just escaped my brain for the most part. But last year's draft, who was the top tackle? I mean,
Paris Johnson was the first one off.
Joe Alt's better than Paris Johnson. Peter Skoronski was the best offensive lineman in the draft. Yeah. I think Joe Alt's a better prospect than Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, I would say he's a better prospect than Skoronski. Last year was a particularly weak offensive tackle class. Yeah. I think this year is especially deep, but potentially lacks some of that, like that star prospect type of talent. I would say if you go back 2 drafts ago, Joe Alt's probably not the best left tackle in that draft.
I mean, there was the NC State guy, Ekwonu, He went 6th.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm
Evan Neal went 7th.
I'd say
Charles
probably
Cross
since the Penei Sewell draft, would Penei Sewell's probably the last prospect that was like a Joe Alt type of level.
which was the 2021 draft.
Yeah. So
I mean,
there's your answer.
That's a guy that the Titans can really do some damage with, right? And Rashawn Slater, right? So the 2021
draft class was awesome.
Yeah. And so I think that's your answer there, Andre, that, yeah, Joe Alt, the best offensive tackle prospect in the draft since Penei Sewell in 2021. So
yeah, it depends on your draft. I mean, because I think Alt is probably the clear offensive tackle 3 in that class. But in 2022 and 2023, I think he's the number 1. So
again, top tackle prospect the last 3 years that you could get at 7. It's a good option to have. Just Smash asked us earlier, opinion on Cooper DeJean if he slides. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, I like Cooper DeJean, the player. I think he's a really good athlete. I don't know how well he'll do in man coverage, but I think he's a plus tackler, gets downhill, very physical corner. I mean, I'm not sure there's a spot for the Titans if he slides.
He's a safety for the Titans. I think if the Titans somehow figure out where if Cooper DeJean is a pick, I don't know. Let's say the Titans somehow, the Vikings can't get J.J. McCarthy at 4 or 5, and the Titans go to 11 and 23. Let's say they get Fashanu or Fautanu or Fuaga or whatever, offensive lineman at 11. I'll take Cooper DeJean at 23 all day long and put him next to Amani Hooker at safety.
Yeah, I mean, his safety versatility is probably what makes him different than the other cornerback prospects in the draft, just because we talked about cornerback earlier, right? And it doesn't make a ton of sense in the structure of your current depth chart to use one of your top picks on a corner. But if you view Cooper DeJean as a safety, then the question becomes, do you use a first-round pick on a safety? But
if he's your second first-round pick.
Yeah,
which is what I
maybe
kind of laid out.
Right. I don't know. That's a different question, different conversation. But I do think that the fit with the Titans is probably at safety, more at corner. I would agree with that. I don't think it's very likely.
But I like Cooper DeJean. I think safety is the best spot to put him. The guy's an athletic freak. He's got great anticipation. He's got punt return skills. So I think he can help in a lot of different ways for whoever drafts. I've seen the Jags as a popular landing spot at 17 for Cooper DeJean in the first round. Last super chat, Zachary Smith just dropping by, says, I'm just here to say hey, and I love you guys. Love you too, Zachary. Appreciate that there for the super chat. Sam, let's go ahead and get to our Wednesday sports trivia to wrap up this show. Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon and say hey to Payne Bone while you're out there. Save some money on that new ride by going to Lebanon at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Sam, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, time for our Wednesday trivia. We've got our 9 categories. You guys already know the rules. 1, no Googling. 2, I picked the first category, and you guys picked the second category. Big Ten Jeff tried to predict that snacks and candy was up there.
I'll remind you, we might need to start with NFL.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So is that the first category then?
Okay. First off, Jeff tried to predict and missed. There is no snacks and candy. So I already got who the second is going to be. So I will pick NFL as the first category, and then I've got my winner for the second category.
After posting a record-breaking 4.22 40-yard dash and a big year at Washington, wide receiver John Ross got drafted 9th overall by this AFC team. This is why we do NFL first, because they give us some beach balls with NFL. I feel like the NFL knowledge is good among this group, and we are all over this, that this is the Cincinnati Bengals. So, yeah, that's an easy one. Started off 1 for 1, no problem.
All right. Our guy Lou Man came in with music, so golf clap all around to Lou Man.
All right.
for being fastest on the trigger for the second category. Lou Man thinks I hate him, but nah, not at all.
Could you whisper in my ear the things you want to feel? I'd give you anything to feel it coming. Are the opening lyrics from 1998, the Goo Goo Dolls song.
Yeah, I'm guessing you do not know this.
No clue. No chance. Do you know it?
I have no idea. And right now, there we go. The chat is caught up after all the Bengals conversations. Apparently, we should know this because it's a very popular slide.
Is that popular?
Well, it's popular among the chat for everybody knowing this.
I wonder how that goes. I'm very unfamiliar.
Yeah, same. I will pick next. Let's go history.
I do know. Yeah, I'm with chill mode. I only know Iris is like the Goo Goo Dolls. So, all right, history.
I just suck at song names. So history.
Yeah. This German chancellor organized the 1884 Berlin Conference to regulate European colonization, known as the Scramble for Africa. Oof. Okay, German chancellor. I have no clue.
Actually, I think I do know slide. Now that I'm thinking about it.
It's not Winston Churchill. Doesn't seem like the chat is super in on this.
Jody says Bismarck.
Bismarck, Schultz, Otto Hindenburg. No, I have no idea.
No. Andre says, is that when they sent Rommel to Africa and slaughtered folks? No, I know this. I know Rommel is World War II because former Tennessee Vols head football coach Derek Dooley dropped "Where's Rommel" in a press conference that went viral. And so I know that it's Rommel was World War II. So there's something there.
All right. Well,
I think von Bismarck is probably where we need to go.
Yeah. Well, I don't see a theme right now, as Nick pointed out. Otto von Bismarck.
Yeah,
is the right answer. I think I've heard that name. Yeah, would not have pulled that one. No chance.
Okay. Chain restaurants.
All right. Chain restaurants. Here we go. Daytona Beach style wings, lots of tots, and buffalo shrimp are items served at what sit-down chain? Okay. What sit-down chain has Daytona Beach style wings?
Is this Hooters?
That would check out. That would make sense.
Yeah, I think the chat's all over it. I'm pretty sure it's Hooters.
Okay, there we go. Well, hey, there you go, chat. We're on Hooters. So
television.
4 for 4. Television. Tyler Posey, Dylan O'Brien, and Tyler Hoechlin starred in this MTV Supernatural teen drama from 2011 to 2017 that was reimagining a 1985 film of the same name.
I don't know any of those people.
Dylan O'Brien, you should know.
I don't.
He was in
I don't.
He's in a lot of stuff. He was in
But
is this Teen Wolf?
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Teen Wolf is the chat's all over Teen Wolf.
I feel like Dylan O'Brien did a Teen Wolf thing.
Yeah, I'll have to look him up after the show while I'm listening to.
He's in the Maze Runner and stuff.
I don't know what that is either. All right, let's go NBA.
All right, NBA. As part of their run to the 2023 NBA Finals, the Miami Heat lost the 7-seed play-in game to the Atlanta Hawks before beating this team in the 8-seed play-in game.
Oh, gosh.
I do know this one.
Oh, good. I didn't watch any NBA Finals last year. I don't even know if I watched the playoffs last year.
The 8-seed play-in game. Should I share or should I let the chat?
You can wait for the chat. Let's see if somebody comes in here. Nick Ewing says the Bulls, which would make sense if Sam knew it. Anthony says Chicago. Sean says the Bucks. I don't think the Bucks were in a play-in game. Do we want to go with Chicago?
It is the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
Yeah. Annoying seeing the Miami Heat go to the finals when the Bulls were winning that game with like 2 minutes to go. But yeah, the Bulls and the Heat played in the 8-seed play-in game.
Celebrity mashup.
Celebrity mashup. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I've got the inside.
The inside face does look familiar, but I don't know the name.
Who's the outside? I'm trying to block it out here.
Man, this is a bizarre combo.
Is that Keanu Reeves on the outside?
I think it might be Keanu Reeves on the outside.
That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I do think that's Keanu Reeves.
I know the inside is Ellen Pompeo from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, it does look like her.
That is Meredith Grey right there.
Yep. Is that? Are we sure that's Keanu Reeves?
I'm not. I mean, that would be my
feel like
guess.
That could be it could also be a
I don't know
skinny,
if that jaw. I don't know if that jaw is.
I've got one. Could that be Christian Bale?
I don't think he's ever had that hair.
Christian Bale looks. The guy changes his body more than any other like actor. He could be jacked, skinny, fat, all types of things. Like I feel like Christian Bale. I feel like the hairline and his ears kind of look a little bit like Christian Bale.
Somebody says Tom Hiddleston for the outside.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
That's Loki.
Also don't know what that is.
And it's not Adam Driver.
Nobody is jumping on my Christian Bale.
I don't think it's. I mean, somebody said the ears are not Keanu Reeves, but I can't get Keanu out of my head now.
Jared Leto?
I don't think so.
No, I feel like we've had him before. This is like American Psycho Christian Bale. That's what I'm feeling. But Tom Hiddleston? You want to go with that?
I don't think it's Tom Hiddleston. I think I feel better about Keanu.
Okay. All right, so let's make it all right. Meredith Grey and Keanu. Let's just do that.
Ellen Pompeo and Keanu Reeves. No. All right, it is not Keanu Reeves.
All right, we'll have to come back to it.
All right, we can come back to it. Let's go to movies. This actor won the Oscar for Best Actor after his first portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in the 1991 film The Silence of the Lambs, and later reprised the role in 2 other films. Chat will be all over this. They will, let's see who can get it.
American Toff, the first one.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins.
Where you say American Toff got it? I see Danny has it at Anthony Hopkins here.
I saw American Toff. Anyway, a lot of people have it.
And that is the correct answer. There we go. Good job on everybody on the chat. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people came in with that answer there. College football. This LSU defensive back and kick returner was a consensus All-American and SEC Defensive Player of the Year before getting drafted 5th overall by the Cardinals in 2011.
Do you know this, Sam?
Hang on. Maybe.
We've talked about him fairly recently.
LSU DB
Yep.
And kick returner. It's like Ted Ginn.
He's an Ohio State receiver.
Yeah, I figured as much, but like I can't think of another returner. I didn't watch college football back then, so I'm like,
oh, the chat. It's not Honey Badger, not Tyrann Mathieu. He was not a top 5 pick, but Patrick Peterson, top 5 pick there.
I forgot he got drafted by the Cardinals.
Yep, Patty P. Dude was a badass. Patrick Peterson.
I also don't think I was trying to think of a guy who I thought of as a kick returner, and I don't think of him as a kick returner, but that makes sense.
Honey Badger was like the next couple of years. All right, we got to get this thing right.
All right.
I think Christian Bale, man. There's something about crazy Christian Bale that this looks like to me.
I mean, it'd be a throw off if they threw us Christian
Jim
Bale with this
Carrey has
there.
become a popular answer too, but that's not
Jimmy,
Jim
I
Carrey.
don't hate. I don't know if I hate
This
Jim
is
Carrey.
too young looking for Jim Carrey. And then Tom Hiddleston I think
I really
Tom
don't think
Hiddleston,
it's Tom
Jim
Hiddleston.
Carrey, and Christian Bale I think it's Christian Bale. Who Adrian Brody is also being brought up.
Oh man.
Danny's very confident that it's Tom Hiddleston. There's a lot of I think Tom Hiddleston is where we have to go. That's the most popular answer in the chat.
All right.
And Jim Carrey absolutely has big ears, guys.
I like Jim Carrey more than I don't think this is Tom Hiddleston, but we will roll with the chat.
Have we ever not gotten the double dip correct?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right, you got to put in Ellen again.
Incorrect. Oh. Yeah. Didn't think that was going to be correct. It is Adrian Brody. Yeah. Some people on the chat were on it. I don't know if I'm like super familiar with Adrian Brody, to be honest with you.
I'm definitely not.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm definitely not.
I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything. I'm looking him up now. Not very familiar with him. Yeah, hey, that one hurts, but what can you do? That's one of those ones I think I just know the name more than I know his face. But yeah. Good on the chat that was on Adrian Brody.
I think that's a first for us.
That we haven't gotten all of them right?
I think so.
Maybe.
Man,
we'll be back.
It sucks. Ending Wednesday on a down note. Well, like the show anyway, because we're out of here. Sam is getting going over to St. Thomas Sports Park for a press conference for the Titans kicking off their offseason work this week. So we'll have content to come from that throughout the day on our website, A2ZSports.com, and all of our social media as well. We'll talk about that tomorrow and Friday on the show. Buck Rising also live tonight for A2Z Sports Primetime. And we will catch you guys tomorrow morning on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.